They thought we wouldn't recognize the actor, but I noticed him. I recognized this bastard immediately.
Ooh, that's a hot mug, guy.
Hey guys, this is my review for episode 12 of Supernatural Season 9, Sharp Teeth. Now, before we get started, just to let y'all know, we have a Discord now. Thank you very much to Aaron for setting this up. Some of you may have saw the community post, but if you guys want to join it, there's a bunch of little things that are to it. I don't know much about Discord, so I'm very happy that Aaron set it up for me. All I know is like, ooh, thing, let me type. But we've got a bunch of different categories, one of them obviously being Supernatural. And if you want updates about my feeling of watching episodes like this one, definitely join that, because the instant I saw this dude, the instant I saw Tom Butler, I'm like, hey, that's the shady dad from the Scarecrow episode. Did they think we wouldn't recognize him? I mean, you didn't do a good job at all at trying to disguise him. He's the head of a religious family. Again, this guy is here and he's like, oh, hey everyone. This is our Lycan family group. In this episode, the brothers are trying to figure out what hell happened to Garth. And it turns out that I don't know whether they had this idea back in season 8, but it turns out that Garth got bit by a werewolf, and in that moment, he found Bess, who is a second generation werewolf, and she took him in and their family. And this is a werewolf family that, for the most part, most of them seem to be pretty cool. It's kind of like that vampire episode all the way back from season 2. They are trying to turn a new leaf. Like, they acknowledge what they are. They all have a silver bullet under their neck, which is pretty cool to acknowledge that, hey, this is what you need to do to kill me. And for the most part, it's actually a pretty nice little commune, a little kind of odd, but that's kind of how it is when you see something that looks like from Little House on the Prairie. But the problem is there's nothing really weird to it, except for some very, very standoff people who have no idea how to have any social skills. But admittedly, they are also on the fence, because Dean is Dean. Dean is a walking, talking, like, enemy of killing. I do like how they found Garth too, and that's a good indication of it, because his idea to wake up Garth from a seeming coma is to stab him in the heart with adrenaline, whereas Sam just slaps the ever-loving shit out of him, just gives him a good old pimp slap. Garth escapes, and then they follow him to this family. They figure out the story. And this is where I like half of the episode, because we're seeing Sam and Dean kind of catch up with each other about what's happened with Dean having the mark of Cain, and then Sam working with Castiel. But it's the whole Ragnarok, this additional idea of a supposed werewolf apocalypse. And goddamn if this does not sound like some of the bullshit story writing that was in season 14. Remember when alternate Michael was like, I'm gonna gather all the monsters and then take over the world and blah blah blah? This sounds like the Temu version of that, and I am amazed to say that, considering I am referring to season 14, because this is apparently the group, this werewolf group, is their intention is to take over. Now I understand that you bite one and then eventually it keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going, but it just seems more viable from vampires when going back to season 6 even. The whole thing with the family is just a bit much. I don't kind of get that. It's a little bit of a red herring, because you do think it's obviously season 1 sketchy dad, but it actually turns out to be the wife, who is the stepmother, the evil stepmother. And in her attempt to try and take down Garth, Bess, and Sam, Dean comes in and kills them all. It's weird because it's such a harsh cut. Once they kill her, the next cut, admittedly, when they come back from a commercial break, is them inside the house. But when you watch it on streaming, it's like, ugh, you almost get whiplash from how quick that was. Garth is Garth in this episode. He's always been a likable character, despite the fact that you shouldn't like him. But it's not enough for him to kind of bring this episode out of meh. I think that the somewhat interesting kind of commune idea doesn't really go much, and then same for the whole Ragnarok werewolf takeover idea. It's just not a lot there. I will give the episode credit for 2 things though. It's the endings. The first one being with Garth, with Dean saying goodbye to Garth. I think it's a really like heartfelt conversation between the two of them. And then is the conversation between Dean and Sam, where they are once again at odds, because of course they fucking are. Admittedly, Sam has some reasons for not trusting Dean, convincing him to not shut the gates of hell, and then throwing an angel in his body without him knowing for quite a while. But it just seems like we are at conflict for conflict's sake, and I am saying that having watched fucking seasons 12 to 15 where there was drama for quite literally no fucking reason. So this is bearing on no reason. At least in season 8 you had Sam for some reason not trying to save Dean, and you had Dean teaming up with Benny the vampire. But this one just, it's light version of it, and it's kind of also, and I think someone made a comment about this, it's really fucking hypocritical of Dean to be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, maybe these guys aren't too bad, considering he murdered Sam's monster friend from back in season 6. And Sam gets so fucking close to mentioning it, and I almost wonder if they thought that we should mention it, but like, if we do, there's no way we can get out of this episode. We can't get out of this episode completely fucking tainting ourselves, so we just won't mention it. And that's what I felt like while watching this episode. Either way, it's an okay. I think it's got some decent bits to it. There's some decent action. I like how Dean goes on kind of just a bit of a killing spree throughout, like whether it's throwing the knife or bang bang bang. Everything just seems light, but it's not bad light. It's just okay light. In the end, truly speaking, it's an episode that is going to be definitely forgotten, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 7. But that's all from me. Now let's see what you guys have to say. This episode wasn't good to me, but I did enjoy seeing Garth. It was interesting seeing him living his life as a Lycan with his wife and their family. Not surprised that Dean and Sam didn't believe that a family of Lycans could live a regular life. I didn't understand why Sam couldn't trust Dean anymore after what's happened to Kevin, and I get him being possessed by Gladriel, but him deciding to work with Dean at the end doesn't make any sense. It kind of didn't. I think it's more so that they acknowledge what they need to do is the right thing to do, but really maybe it's not. It's like they're still not going to be at each odds. But I do admit it's kind of weird that it does have solve itself. Pretty funny that out of all the characters to get a happy ending instead of the funeral pyre is Garth, which is true. You would have thought this dummy would have died a while ago. Depending on how long he lives, he probably outlasted both Sam and Dean. Good for him. Although it's kind of weird that Sam's monster friend doesn't get brought up once in this episode, even though the situation is very similar. Absolutely, yes, it was your comment that I saw, and yes, you are absolutely true. Out of all Dean's male relationships, I think the one with Garth is very underrated. The two of them were more opposite than the brothers, but with zero angst, which is a major plus. You can tell that Dean is secretly worried about Garth just as much as he's worried about Cass going radio silent, and he clearly hurt when Garth didn't reach out to them about being a werewolf, given how Dean befriended Benny and that werewolf girl go, and he let that werewolf girl go. Dean would have understood. Glad that we patched things up, enjoying their relationship, and I think it's complete bull that Garth didn't name one of his sons Dean, but instead after Sam and Castiel, two of the guys he barely had any chemistry with or screen time with. Of course, this was one of the show's worst season, so I'm fine with forgetting it ever happened. Oh, fudge. I had completely forgotten about that shit until now. And yes, I saw it on the note about the two of them getting married. That was kind of interesting. But love seeing monster societies trying not to kill humans, but for the negatives, there were everything that has to do with the brothers. They should have not gotten back together this soon. Teaming up with no hint of forgiving or letting things go is agreeing to being miserable 24/7. And Sam seemed tough and cold by saying they aren't brothers anymore, but really is it just an act, and it comes across more him begging Dean back. Sam was upset that Dean left in the first place, and given once he was on his own, Sam was almost purposely ended his life. It's not a good look on Sam going solo. And how much did Sam contribute? Sam had no personal ties to Garth, nor did he interact with him that much. He kind of has that going away thing at the end. Dean is the one who did all the research, and of course Dean saved Sam twice. First for the sheriff pointing his gun at him, and then Sam was captured. Honestly, this episode would have been better if we just had Dean dealing with Garth and Sam on his own side quest. I think that could have been interesting too. If the writers wanted to show why the brothers needed each other, they should have had a case, and the brothers had to try and solve it separately, only to fail once they brought it together, showing how they both needed each other. You know, actually, you guys are making good points. I think I might be changing my rating of this episode as I'm reading these reviews. But no, you're right, because it's just, yeah, that would have been a cooler idea. But honestly, production-wise, it is easier to have the two of them, because then you don't have to do as much additional shooting. You would have extended the time. But I'm talking logistics. I'm not talking
story-wise. I said this episode was bad, so I might explain why, if you have the time. I don't like being a negative person. The whole werewolf cult is just boring, predictable, and makes Garth's return seem kind of disappointing. But what drags this episode down for me is the completely undermining the dramatic fallout from Road Trip. In that episode, Sam didn't want Dean's help in finding Galadriel, and he made his choice to leave, and that was that. It was actually felt like Sam was sticking to his guns, asserting some independence after everything had happened with the possession. Then this episode comes along, and Sam soundly agrees to hunt with Dean again, even though he explicitly says he doesn't trust him at the end. The worst part, Dean seems to spend the entire episode making it clear that he doesn't want to work with Sam, but again, by the end, the writers shove them back together because I feel like that's what they have to do. I'd give this episode 2 out of 7, with the one saving grace being Garth. DJ Qualls brings the same goofy charm that made Garth such a fun side character, and his scenes with Sam and Dean, especially when he tries to break the tension between them, having a classic Garth awkwardness that somehow works, and it's clear he still cares about them despite how much it's changed. It's a shame that instead of him having a solid return, the show basically writes him off until Andrew Dabb brings him back as a monster spy in season 14, which I thought was a pretty... No way! He doesn't come back until season 4. I swear he came back before that. No way! Wow! See, this is what I like about the comics, guys. When I get to see stuff like this, I didn't know that he didn't... No, I can't believe that. Hang on, I'm actually just going to look this up right now. I'm kind of incomplete. He's only got 6 episodes. Okay, that's not good. Oh my god, you are right. This is the last time we see him for... Wow. Oh, Sharp Teeth is a forgettable episode by the majority of fans, even though I'm a part of that a minority that likes it. Garth, of course, is the best part of the episode, and I'm happy that he found happiness. I love it how, especially that led to Dean giving a genuine hug to Garth. It's interesting to see a devout werewolf church group trying not to give in to their urges of eating human hearts. It turns into an interesting aspect in the episode to see werewolves turning against werewolves because of their beliefs, different beliefs. This is clearly mirroring how Sam and Dean turn against each other from their ideals this current season. So yeah, there's some kind of like... Sam realizes that Dean is no longer saving the world, is no longer in it for saving the world if it puts Sam's life on the line. Even though angels and demons are dealing with civil wars and humanity is caught in between it all, it doesn't justify Dean's selfless actions, not letting Sam seal the gates of hell. It's when Sam decides Dean and him are no longer family and Hunter co-workers that the stage is set for a dramatic draining aspect of the season. Oh, cool, dramatically draining. But yeah, like I said, this is why I don't like Sacrifice as much as other people do, because I find Dean's want to not have Sam do the deed is completely selfish on his part. It's not selfish at all. It is selfish, and that is why I have that big negative about Sacrifice.
All right, guys, thank you for your comments. Now we're heading into The Purge. I kind of wonder if it's based off of those terrible movies. Let me know what you guys think about that episode in the comments below, and I'll read this off in the next review. And like I said, make sure to join the Discord. The link for that is in the description below, so make sure to come and join, and you'll see some really funny conversations, and you'll probably see me having some form of comment about the next episode in there before I release the review. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and if you're interested in more, subscribe. And until then, see you guys next time.